What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Wrestling with Finance. I'm your host here, and yes, this is the second video on the channel, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about after the Robinhood stuff from last week. But first, before I get to any of this stuff about what's going on with Robinhood and good old Vlad, or Kylo Ren as he's, boy, he really does look like Adam Driver. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below about what you think about what's going on with the Robinhood stuff. Have you dropped them? Are you interested in them? Or are you put off from even starting with them? Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. And while you're down there, of course, hit the like button, subscribe button, and a notification bell so you can be notified when I have more videos here on Wrestling with Finance. Now, as far as this whole thing going on with Robinhood, so to summarize, a lot has happened since last week. So we had Robinhood admitting the fact that, you know, they had to shut down trading because there were some money issues going on with that. Not that they weren't, you know, a solid company, but the amount of trading that was going on involving the GameStop short squeeze and all of that stuff that was going on, and then all the new people trying to get into it to try to get rich quick, they essentially didn't have enough money to cover all those bets. And Vlad went on, he went on a lot of shows, which is probably not a really advisable idea. The most famous one being the one with Chris Cuomo, where Cuomo basically grilled the hell out of him and then kind of tried to big boy him and like, I got some advice for you. You want some advice? I'll tell you, young whippersnapper, you and this technology that you're using and getting people in trouble. Yeah, he totally dadded him in that whole video, but I've seen others with him. He's been on with some of the financial YouTubers. In fact, today I just saw him with Andre Jeek, which was pretty cool to see Andre, since I learned about Robinhood through Andre Jeek's YouTube channel a couple years ago. So kind of interesting to see him, one of the biggest backers and always supporters of, to some extent, having a video today where he was kind of apprehensive about doing it. But all of that aside, you know, Vlad, I think in the beginning he did a terrible job of explaining what was going on. He has explained since that he didn't have a lot of sleep. They were up all night. They were up early in the morning. They were trying to fix this thing because this was a big thing. And I can kind of empathize with that, because I'm trying to put myself in that guy's position and be like, yeah, if you're the CEO of this company that's a startup and everything is like going really well because you're getting a lot of customers, doing a lot of trading on your app, but there's almost too much of a good thing, and now you can't support it, and now you kind of, and also in addition to that, not being able to support it and letting down your customers in that way, it also looks like you're not supporting them because you're in collusion with one of the hedge funds that all of these subreddit investors were trying to screw over. Then there's a class action lawsuit going on, and there was one, and now there's multiple class action lawsuits going on. Vlad is going to be in front of the U.S. government pretty soon, testifying about what happened, because, you know, Congress always has to do stuff that talk about things that they don't understand. I'm telling you right now, like, they were bad with the whole social media, social networking thing. I was talking to Facebook and Twitter about stuff a couple years ago about how that worked. Far fewer people understand how the independent financial, the retail financing wave that's been going on for the last 5 or 6 years. Fewer people understand that, because most people don't have any clue, as we've seen recently, as to what they're doing with the stock market, let alone what all of these new apps that have allowed people to do trading has done to basically the entire market. So I don't expect anybody in Congress, I don't care if it's the illustrious Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or it's Bernie Sanders, or it's Mitt Romney, or some big Republican, whoever it is. I don't think like 99% of them, I think, are not going to have any idea what they're going to say. Vlad's going to be sitting here talking about all these different tiers of how the money goes from here and it gets held over here, and you got to wait 3 days for it to do this and to do that, and they're just going to be like, I mean, even some of the financial YouTubers he's explaining this to don't have any idea what the heck he's talking about, and a lot of the interviewers don't know what the heck he's talking about. So you've got a guy who has a problem. His company looks like, and I'm playing devil's advocate with this company looks like they were in cahoots with another company to shut this whole revolution down, and Robinhood got holding the bag. And I kind of suspected that this was really what was going on. A lot of people want to, still want to throw shade at Robinhood. I'm still personally not comfortable with, because I'm still not fully convinced, but I'm not comfortable with kind of promoting them on this channel anymore. but it does sound like it was less Robinhood and more of the way the financial system is, much like a lot of systems in this country, kind of a dinosaur. And one thing that I did find out that was really interesting is that Citadel was supposedly the big villain behind this. So if Robinhood, Vlad is Kylo Ren, then Citadel really would be the emperor in this whole thing. But it turns out that actually the Citadel, in the financial world, there's two Citadels. There's the Citadel Holding Company and there's the Citadel. And Citadel is a hedge fund, but the securities, the Citadel Securities Company, that's a different company. And because of the law, they have to be separate, so they can't talk to each other. There are going to be investigations. That would be something good to investigate to see if they broke that somehow, some way. They're both owned by the same conglomerate, but they're supposed to be completely separate for legal purposes. Again, that's going to be interesting to see if anything comes out of that. I doubt it because, again, I kind of think that this was just a market, something that happened, and I think Vlad explained it like it's a 1 in a 1.35 million chance of this ever happening, so basically it should have never happened, but it did. And none of the financial institutions knew how to handle this. None of the brokerages knew how to handle this. None of the investors knew how to handle this. Plus, you got a whole bunch of people who don't know anything about investing or the stock market coming in and just getting upset because they can't buy what they want to buy when they want to buy it. And you basically have a big cluster. Now, there's still a bunch of questions, though, because Robinhood's not off the hook, though. Robinhood is... there's still some shadiness going on there. I'm not 100% convinced that there wasn't some sort of chicanery going on and nobody said anything to them. I mean, I'm leaning a little bit more towards that Robinhood's probably not to blame for any of this stuff, and they're getting kind of hosed and unfair, maybe a raw deal in this whole thing. But at the same time, they weren't prepared for this, and you know that does fall on them, and they have to take responsibility for that. And as far as how their connections to Citadel and whether or not there was anything going on there, an investigation is going to have to find that out, but who knows? Vlad has gotten a lot better with his interviews lately, but I just like saying his name Vlad because it just sounds like Vlad the Impaler, and he kind of looks like a kind of a vampire too, a little bit. Okay. On the other question a lot of people have is, like, if you want to switch off of Robinhood, this is for the consumers and the retail investors, is like, where would you go? So there's a couple other apps out there. You could go to one of the more traditional ones like TD Ameritrade. Oh, wait, they stopped trading on GameStop. Well, you could go to Webull stopped trading on GameStop. Well, I'm sure Cash App was in Cash App limited buying on GameStop. So, I'm tending to lean to think that it wasn't as much a conspiracy as that all of these apps couldn't handle the volume that was being done. And I always go by this old saying that do not look to conspiracy when incompetence will do. So what should you do? And I know a lot of people who are probably looking at this video on my channel are probably new investors, or probably people who got into this, because there's a bunch of new people who have come into this investment space. And they probably try to figure out what to do. I got this Robinhood account. What do I do with it now? Well, do you keep it or not keep it? If you've only got if you only got it for the GameStop thing, I think if you want to continue investing, you can just simply switch over and not use Robinhood ever again. For some of the rest of us, though, who've got large portions of our portfolio that we bought through Robinhood, that's a little bit more difficult. Now, there are two main things that Robinhood has in one package that you don't find in a lot of other places. And those two things are, number one, the fact of no free trades. And number two, you have fractional shares. Now, there's a really simplistic app called Stockpile that does give you both of those. Well, actually, no. It only gives you fractional shares, but you have to pay a commission fee for every trade that you do. So that's not really a replacement, plus the interface on Stockpile, not all that great. Then you got something like Webull, which everybody went to, but again, if you're going to Webull because you don't like the fact that Robinhood limited the trading on GameStop, well, Webull did it too, although their CEO explained it far better than Robinhood's did, what the reason for that was. But if you go to Webull, it's like, yeah, you can only buy whole shares. You still have no fee transactions, but they haven't quite yet implemented fractional shares. Sort of. There is a way to do it, but for the average person too, Webull's interface is a little bit more advanced, and if you're just starting out, it can be overwhelming with all of that information that Webull provides. that as time goes on, you'll become more familiar with and appreciate. But right, if you're starting out again, or you just got into the GameStop thing and now you're looking to go to another investment trading app, that's probably going to be a little bit more for you to handle. Now, Fidelity and TD Ameritrade, they have some of the same features too. There's a whole bunch of them out there, and I think the best thing is for you to kind of research what's out there and what's available to you. Maybe you're okay with paying a 99% per trade commission fee. Maybe you don't really need fractional shares. You only want to buy whole shares. I will say, if you're a person who's starting out and you have very little money and you want to kind of build up, picking one of these financial apps that has fractional shares can be very helpful, because you might not have $300 to put on and buy a share of stock, or maybe you want to spread out your $300 because you saved all month to get to $300 to invest, but you don't want to just buy it in one thing because, you know, putting all your eggs in one basket is not a great idea, and you want to diversify. Well, if you don't have an app that allows fractional shares, it's kind of hard to diversify because you got to pay the full price per share, as opposed to being able to maybe pick 10 stocks and sprinkling that $300 across all 10 of those stocks. So right now, we're kind of in a weird place now, because as far as the GameStop stock is concerned, it's pretty much fallen down. I mean, GameStop is winning on this because the stock is still, even I think it's trading just under $60 as of today. Even that's a huge increase from what it was before at $5 or $6, whatever it was when this whole thing started. So GameStop is working out, and their name recognition is everywhere. Even people who've never picked up a video game now know what GameStop is because of all the media attention that came a couple weeks ago from this whole thing with the short squeeze. But the investors, and this is what I said in that last video, there were unfortunately a lot of people that got caught holding the bag. The price went down, it was in the 80s, and like I said, now it's under $60. And there are a lot of people, and I know people personally, who went out and they called me because they knew I'm into the stock market and investing and stuff. And they called me not to get involved in investing, but to try to win the lottery that was going on. That they heard that all this money was coming from somewhere. Oh, I want some money too, which is the absolute worst reason for you to ever get into the stock market, because you're just going to lose. The house always wins. And when you gamble with stocks, and that's what I said in the last video, I don't do this. I am not into this. I'm an investor. Gambling with the stock market, by the time you've heard about what's going on, you're probably too late to actually make any significant money off of it. And some people go, well, you know, I only put it I bought it at $250, so I only lost a little bit of money. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the point of this. Getting into the stock market is for you to lose money. You're supposed to get in it so you can make money, not get in and buy a stock at $250 and then go, I'm going to hold and hold and hold and hold, and then wind up losing that money. And what have you done? I mean, the hedge fund guys were already hurt. You just lost money. However, that's okay if you put money in there that you really were okay with losing. There are people, unfortunately, who lost their shirts on this thing, and they were listening. They didn't really understand again what was going on, and they bought at 300 and some. I know a couple people, and they held for way too long, and now they're praying to God that something happens that shoots that price back up above $300, which I don't see that. I mean, it could. I mean, we didn't expect what happened a couple weeks ago. It could happen again, but I think that bounce back that we were all expecting to happen after it dipped is probably not going to happen at this point. But again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you whether or not you should hold or you should sell. If you're holding, and if you're doing it for political reasons or for social reasons, you're trying to make a statement, then by all means, it's where the making money is not what you're doing this for. You're doing this to make a statement. By all means, that's your money. That's the way you make your statement, and more power to you. For people who got into this, however, thinking they were going to make some money, you gotta be, like I said in the last video, think through what you're doing before you invest any money in anything. You gotta understand what it is you're doing and not just hop on something because a bunch of other people say, hey, they're giving away free money, because again, like I said before, by the time you've heard about it, it's pretty much over with. All of that being said, if you are a person who's new to investing and you got out of the GameStop thing and you don't know what to do, this is a good channel to follow, because I am starting this whole channel from scratch, and we're going to be talking about how to go through from having no money at all or being really, really in debt into actually getting to a point where your finances are healthy. And that's going to be a series that I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks on this channel, a little bit every single week with new videos. So definitely you want to subscribe to this if you want to get that information. And if you want to find a different brokerage, of course, Webull is probably the best choice in my opinion. Again, the interface might be a little bit much for you, but it can be simplified, and we will be going over Webull in a tutorial video on this channel pretty soon. But if you want to get it right now, you can go down in the description box below and click on that affiliate link. You get 2 free stocks from Webull for just signing up, and if you fund your account with at least $100, you get an additional 2 free stocks. So definitely check that out if you guys want to get involved with that. Thank you very much for watching Wrestling with Finance, and I will be back pretty soon for some more videos. Once we're out of this whole Robinhood, GameStop thing, which I think is going to go on for a few months, but we're going to get back into talking about the fundamentals of personal investment and personal finance on this channel. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the future.